fears that you have of the back pain, which is probably the last thing I'm going to want to hear at the time, and he's probably going to get a punch in the face. Welcome back to my channel. This is my 17-week bump date. My midwife has recently changed my due date and brought it forward a couple of days, so I'm actually really close to 18 weeks at this point of recording, but I still wanted to go ahead and do a 17-week bump date because I'm really hoping to be able to document and look back on these videos and see where I was at what point in my pregnancy, and also watch my bump grow each week, regardless of the correct number that I was. So according to my new due date, I'm actually 17 weeks and 6 days pregnant, so tomorrow I'll be 18 weeks pregnant. But according to my old due date, I'm 17 weeks and 4 days pregnant, so I am late on this bump date regardless. I've had a busy 5 days and this is the first chance I'm getting to sit down and do this bump date for you guys. This week, baby is the size of a pomegranate. I don't know much about pomegranates, so I don't know. I'm gonna check the pomegranates out when I go to Coles next though. My symptoms this week, as always, are going to be TMI and not necessarily kid-friendly, but that's pregnancy. But just pre-warning you guys. My first symptom for this week is increased libido. Now, I've pretty much had this for the entire pregnancy. I don't even really know if it has anything to do with pregnancy, but I thought I'd just note it down because in my previous pregnancy, there was no intimacy. I think there was maybe like a handful of times that we were intimate throughout the entire pregnancy. And this time around is a very different story. I spoke about it in my previous bump date. So if you haven't seen it, go check it out. But that is just a symptom that I have noted down. Probably completely irrelevant to pregnancy. Might not be, I don't know. I guess each pregnancy is different, so there's a chance it is pregnancy related. Don't know. The second thing that I wrote down, the second symptom I wrote down for this week is hunger. I've been so hungry all the time, but I can't eat huge amounts because baby is already taking up quite a lot of space in there. And I think my tummy gets full very quickly when I'm eating, so I can't eat a full-size meal. But then like 10 minutes later, I'm starving because I didn't eat enough when I sat down to eat, if that makes sense. So I'm just like constantly hungry. Another symptom that has started recently is dry skin. It could be the weather, but I've noticed that my hands are drying out quite a lot, and it was noted down in my app this week that dry skin, it could be a pregnancy symptom, so I thought that I would write it down. I've been moisturizing. I moisturize every day. I moisturize my belly every single day with like stretch mark cream to try and prevent stretch marks because I didn't get any stretch marks with my daughter, and I'm hoping that that's the case again, but I am carrying a little bit bigger this time, so we'll see. Another symptom this week is lots and lots of baby movements, like lots. I've mentioned in the last couple of bump dates that I have been feeling her move around a lot, but it's getting to the point where I'm starting to feel big kicks, and Luke can feel them from the outside very clearly, and she's generally more active at night, which I think is pretty common. I feel like come 10 p.m, like 9 or 10 p.m, she's just having a party in there and just like rolling around and kicking and punching. And Luke just loves to have his hands on my belly and just feel her move, and I just love watching the look on his face and how excited and happy he is. So yeah, lots of baby movement is another symptom. I'm still extremely out of breath. Luke notices it more than I do. I'm actually pretty much just used to it at this point. Every time I talk, I get out of breath and I have to catch up a little bit on my breathing. And he notices it more than I do, and he's like, oh, I feel so sorry for you having to catch your breath all the time. And I'm like, what do you mean? And he's like, you're just like talking to me and you can't breathe. Like you're trying to catch up on your breath. I'm like, yeah. Shortness of breath is definitely something that I have been dealing with. Another symptom that I have, which I got with Talia, and I can't remember whether I've mentioned it. I think I've mentioned it in bump dates this pregnancy, but it's getting worse. It's like a hairy tummy. I know that's so gross. You get that like linea nigra? I think that's how you say it. I'm probably completely butchering the word, but I think maybe that's how you say it, which is the line that goes from like your pelvic bone up to your belly button and sometimes further. I got that with Talia and it didn't go away until she was like 1, but I haven't got that yet. I'm expecting I'll get it some point in this pregnancy because I got it with Talia, but just in the area where you're supposed to get your linea nigra, like just that line up from the pelvic bone to the belly button, I get like hairs, and it's like It's horrible because obviously when you're at your midwife appointment and your doctor's appointment and, you know, your partner wants to see your belly, or just anyone wants to see your belly, the kids want to see my belly and feel baby all the time. There's hair there. It's just embarrassing, but that's just a part of pregnancy. My whole belly in general is just getting hairier, and I remember it happening with Talia, and it just goes away once you've had your baby, but that's another symptom. It's beautiful. Pregnancy is beautiful. That's pretty much it for the symptoms side of things this week. Something exciting that happened actually yesterday was our first midwife appointment. So Luke took the day off work to come to the hospital that we will be birthing at and see the midwife. There's lots of midwives, there's a whole team there, so it's not guaranteed that that midwife will be the one that delivers us, but we went to the hospital and just sat down and had our first general midwife appointment. We have a birthing suite tour booked in the future. I don't actually think we've even booked it yet, but it's coming up in the future. We're going to have a look through the birthing suite and just kind of get more familiar with the hospital. So that's coming up and that's super exciting. The midwife used the Doppler at the appointment so that we could hear baby's heartbeat, but I think she was a little bit confused at our lack of excitement because we listen to her like all the time because I have a home Doppler and we just love listening to her heartbeat. But she did that and everything looks good. We have our 20-week scan in like a couple of weeks. So I'm really excited about that. That's all booked in and ready to go. And Luke just keeps turning to me and going, I can't wait to see her soon. Like, we get to see her in a couple of weeks because of the scan. We're just over the moon excited for that appointment. Also, something that has happened this week is I've been discussing the birth a little bit more with Luke and like birth plans and my fears and whatnot surrounding birth. And the main fear that I have is, and it sounds so dumb, there's obviously the most important thing of birth is that your baby gets here safely. That is it. Like, as long as your baby gets here safely, that's fine. That's all you want, right? But that aside, the thing that scares me the most is an epidural. I am petrified of needles. I've kind of got over that phobia when I was pregnant with Talia because I was getting needles all the time because I'm a negative blood type. But a needle in the spine does not sound fun. And that aside, I know you're in so much pain and you do not care at the time. I know, because I begged for an epidural in my last birth and didn't get it because it was too late. I have heard horror stories of so many people having back pain for just years, forever, after they get an epidural, and I'm petrified that I'm going to ask for one. I know I will, like I know 100% I'm gonna be in so much pain and I'm gonna ask for an epidural. And so I've been talking to him about my hopes and like that it's kind of, I'm kind of relying on him to sit me down and go, look, that's not what you wanted. Think of like the fears that you have of the back pain, which is probably the last thing I'm gonna wanna hear at the time. And he's probably gonna get a punch in the face, which I pre-warned him about. But we've been talking about the birth and discussing my birth plan, which is, there isn't a plan, when we don't have a plan, but ultimately I'd like to avoid an epidural. That's pretty much it. I'm just doubtful that that's gonna happen because I am probably gonna ask for one again. If I end up getting an epidural and I don't have any follow-up back pain, I'll be really, really glad that I did it because obviously it takes the pain away and that's the whole point of having an epidural. But if I get an epidural and I end up with like back pain for the rest of my life, I'm going to kick myself. So poor Luke is feeling quite a lot of pressure when I told him that I'm going to be relying on him to kind of be my voice at that point in labor. He goes, I'm just going to want you to have it because I'm going to see you in so much pain and I don't want you to be in pain. And he's a little bit worried about that, I think, but I just know that he's going to be the best birth partner, and so talking about the birth with him is more comforting than anything from me, from my point of view. So anyway, they're the two exciting things that have been happening. I've been talking about the birth a lot with Luke, and we also had our first midwife appointment. So that's what's happened this week. So like I said at the beginning of this video, they changed my due date. So technically I'm 17 weeks and 6 days now. Although I thought I was 17 weeks and 4 days. So I'm sorry that the bump is technically an almost 18-week bump, but I'm still gonna put it down as 17 weeks because this is my 17-week bump date. And then probably in about 4 or 5 days, I'll do my 18-week bump date and just bring it a day forward each week, if that makes sense, until I'm like on par, online with when I click over, which is now Thursdays instead of Saturdays. I'm gonna just shut my mouth and show you my 17-week bump. guys, that was my 17-week bump date. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to follow our journey. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!